All right, part two, what I was trying to say about the leadership is, there's a point where, um, there are, everyone does their leadership differently, but whenever you get to, the level that I'm at where, you really, like, same way that children should, be raised is, you really just, for anyone, but you always want to touch that, get the inner child of somebody out, because that's where all their creativity and all their magic and all their, beautiful things about what makes them them, because those were those first initial, questions, were in their little bodies and little souls, and, all their whys, and it's like you really, at that age when the whys happen, and in entrepreneurship and in leadership, they tell us, always start with why. Um, there's a guy, I think his name is Simon Steinecker, something like that. But he says that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy's like on my soul tribe, because he is always about the whys, and there. When I was in the service, like they wanted us to do all the W's and then the five W's and then the how, and the H, but it was like, well, it's like we did all the W's, but we really weren't asking, we weren't really given the opportunity to ask the whys. And I would always give out whys just because I was picking up on people's thoughts. But there comes a point, when you really know you're a true leader, is when you get to really fall in love with the process of, the individuals you're leading, and the, you make observations, not projections. You ask questions, don't make projections, but observe it, but don't control it. And that was something, I learned that was being done to me, was people were trying to control a lot of my situation, where I was like, well, God's been in control, and the divine, because I've always been connected to source. I was just built different for obviously these new reasons of, this new era of the world, and how we're evolving and existing and coexisting and going into space, and all these things. But you really know you're a true leader. It doesn't matter what personality you are, is when you know that you have created those energetic seeds with your thoughts, and you really felt, the people that are working with you. And I say with you because I really don't like to think that people work for each other. Like sometimes that narrative has to exist for some dumb legal contract reason, but which is another thing, is spiritual contracts versus three-dimensional contracts. But when you really work with, someone, and you really try to speak their language, and that's a gift to have as an INFJ, is I can really resonate with a lot of different personalities. There's some I'm really just like, I can't, it's a hit or miss with us sometimes, and that's okay, because not everyone's for everybody. I still support them and send them all the good stuff, right? But there's something, there comes a point where we know we can't be around each other too long for reasons. But true leadership is when you really get to, say that I did that. You take ownership of your story, and then you know how to show and lead the others to take ownership of their story as well. And that is something that has been a big gap, because it's they did the work. And that was something that I would always see in the service, is people were always, they had that pick me attitude, and people thought I was a pick me. I'm like, I'm not a pick me. I'm supposed to be doing that, because I've done the work to do that. I deserve that. I earned that. It wasn't a pick me, but it was like my energy just kept getting on to other people, and that's when I realized, I was like, well, at some point I guess I'm just here, and everyone's just siphoning off my damn whatever I'm doing, and I've watched people take credit for things that weren't theirs, and that would bother me, because I'm like, I did it, but I'm like, I was like, was like, God sees all, and that's how I was. And it took a lot of individuals to catch up to what was going on to see that I wasn't the pick me. I deserved to have those positions, but now I'm way past all that because I got paid back for my energy. And, I'm still getting, you know, my accolades from the universe because of those things that happened. And that's why I was very careful. And people didn't understand why I did things I did the way I did, and why I do, because there's just so much going on in the situation that it's like you really have to look above the situation, not be above someone, but be in love with their process and just watch it unfold and don't control it. And that's something that there's like controlled science and uncontrolled science. Well, it seemed like at some point, especially after wars and events like 9/11, where things got into the controlled science, because now we're like, oh, this happened. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff shifted in the industry, where it got super controlled because there was an attack. And even though it was a staged attack, it was still an attack. And I do remember being in science class, but this happened when I was in my civil rights, or I forgot what the class was called, social studies class is what it was. But during that time, I was also in science class, and we were learning about controlled and uncontrolled experiments, and I just found that ironic because I remember it. I remember so many weird things, but I remember that, and it was an energy in my mind, and there was a purpose for that. And while everyone else is getting picked up from their parents at school, I'm still there, and I think my siblings and I were like the last ones out of the school, and I think we just ended up going the whole doggone day, but everyone else was gone as soon as all that happened, and then we're just sitting there chilling, going to classes and whatever, until eventually it was like, yeah, well, time to go. I don't think the buses were running. We just walked home and whatever. But it was a learning moment for a lot of individuals, but I remember it so well. But it wasn't like traumatic. It was just like, I know I'm going to serve my country because of that right there, but I didn't realize it was going to be tied to more the economic side of it, which it all is, but just I didn't have to do a lot of the bang bang shoot because my brain was built, I'm built different for different things. It wasn't built to go fire guns at people. It wasn't something I super wanted to do, but there was a point when I was young I thought that was what I wanted to do, but it wasn't me. It was a different energy, and someone told me no, and I was like, all right, cried about it, went on. But it's like when you get to see, how falling in love with your soldiers, or your your subordinates or whatever, or people you work with, when you fall in love with just their process, it doesn't matter what title, rank, or whatever they are, that's when you know you're a true leader, and you're really tapped into the leadership spirit, because they're spirits. They watch us. They were the ones that created some of the mess, and someone was calling us to fix the mess, and I had some of that too, on top of the twin flame things and grieving over other things and all the other things, and I was able to handle it because God just built me that way. But it's a very rewarding experience, and today for me was a very rewarding experience because I really did get to see all the seeds of thoughts, and they've been playing out for a while now, and I've just been felt stuck in the situation. I've been trying to be as present as I can because like I've said, my soul's been done through some things so many times, and some things look so doggone familiar, and I'm like, why did it have to come back this way? And why did I'm asking all my whys. I'm asking them in a different way. It doesn't have to do with external factors. It's like, been here, done that. We don't have to check a box. I don't believe in it was really trying. I had to get super specific, and even then it was I felt like I wasn't being heard up until these last couple of months, where I was like, okay, now we're on the right language. But it's just, that's how you know you're a true leader, is when you really really get to see and fall in love with the process of, your the ones that you've led, and it was like you really made it an uncontrolled situation, and you really just let them grow and be creative and be them, let them get in that inner child. And that's a big gap throughout the industry. It's like there's so many people asking so many whys, and they don't even know how to answer their own whys. And once you get out of that, let's hurry it up, but give them the resources and the tools to do it. And sometimes we do just need, you can be an adult and need another adult. It's okay. Because there is a stranger danger effect when you're an adult as well. So don't ever think that there's not. It's okay to need help, but getting the right help for you and me as an INFJ, it's been hard. It was very hard trying to find that help, and I was like, it was even more hard because I haven't really had a lot of people say that you need help, because I've always just been, people just leave me alone, and in the 3D for the most part. But when they try to throw all the help at me energetically, I mean, it was starting to make me kind of sick there for a little bit, because I was like, none of this resonates. Like, these systems are broken. They don't make sense to me. I don't need them. It's going to be hard without it, but I'm not a pick me or codependent. It wasn't me trying to be stubborn. It was just like, there was just something in me that was just like, I was just programmed, I guess, for that part. But it really sucked being on the twin flame journey, because I felt like, my twin and I weren't speaking the same exact language, and, there were things that were trying to put us against each other, and I was like, I know it's not her, and not completely, and, it's like the patterns should just keep repeating. I'm like, I was so done with it. I've been done with it. But, I've gone through all that, and so, like I said, today was very rewarding to see, my seeds unfold, and in a location that I really vibed with. And that is really beautiful, is when you get to be a leader and you also get to see the results of your seeds growing right in front of you, and you're still able to be a little bit present, but you're about to leave the situation, but you're just there long enough to hold that space. Like I said, that one female was not there today, but the rest of them were. So it's like the rest of them got all the other things. So now she's going to go through her growth period, but they'll all have those seeds to help her grow, and she wasn't present for it. And I felt like in some way that kind of happened to me, but it was still like, it wasn't done as beautifully as I did it. And I take credit for that every day, because that is completely me, and I got to see that. So I am grateful for that. And to God, the universe, my spirit team, ancestors, all of that. Thank you very much. And this has been a great experience. But like I said, I'm ready to eject like a VHS. So, till next time.